The federal government is moving forward with its ambitious ramp-up of renewables after announcing it'll explore 5 zones across Australia for offshore wind production. Wind farms could soon be set up in oceans off Victoria, New South Wales, Tasmania and Western Australia amid a phase-out of coal and gas in the nation's energy mix.
After passing its 43% emissions reduction target by 2030 in the House of Representatives, the government acknowledges there's a long road ahead to achieve that target by the end of the decade.
Australia has a lot of catching up to do on 10 years of delay, denial and dysfunction.
Labor's roadmap to that 43% reduction requires more than 80% of the nation's energy to come from renewables by 2030. That's more than double the role renewables currently play in electricity generation, but the government is optimistic offshore wind farms will be key to their renewables ramp up.
We're way behind the game, way behind the rest of the world in producing wind off our coastline.
The government will accelerate an offshore wind project in Gippsland in Victoria by beginning the consultation process. The Star of the South proposal is Australia's most advanced offshore wind project, but even it wouldn't be up and running until 2028.
Would create enough power for 1.2 million households or 20% of Victoria's energy needs, for example.
The government also announcing 5 other offshore wind zones, including in the Pacific Ocean off New South Wales, the Bass Strait and the Indian Ocean off Perth.
This is good news for these communities. A lot of jobs will be created. And these are areas undergoing economic change as our energy system transforms.
While Labor is declaring a renewables future, new data shows Australia's budget is presently propped up by coal and gas exports. The commodities have helped deliver the nation's largest trade surplus in history. It's fuelled hopes that forecast budget deficits could be halved, but despite that financial firepower, the Greens are still pressuring the government to ban all new coal and gas projects, a demand Labor is refusing.
These projects have to go through board approval, then they have to get finance, which is a significant hurdle. Then they have to go through all the relevant environmental approvals. And Minister Plibersek showed yesterday, I think, that is hardly an automatic process.
The opposition, meantime, is yet to declare its 2030 emissions reduction target, only promising it'll be higher than what it took to the election, but less than Labor's 43%.
For an opposition who cannot become the government for another 2.5 years, to pick a figure today that could be wrong in 2.5 years' time is an illogical thing.
Vowing to keep the pressure on Labor to ensure the lights stay on and power bills don't balloon in the transition to net zero. Julia Bradley, Sky News in Canberra.